The Las Vegas Raiders just changed the conversation in the NFL, and nobody saw it coming. A team that many wrote off has suddenly delivered a statement that echoes across the league. It is not just about a win in Foxborough. It is about the way this new-look Raiders squad carried themselves in the toughest conditions. Cold rain, hostile crowd, Week 1 pressure, and yet the Raiders looked like the team with answers. That sets the stage for a season where every opponent will have to rethink what they thought they knew. This shift begins with the biggest change of all, the man under center. Gino Smith did not just take the field, he took command of it. His poise in the pocket, his confidence in distributing the ball, and his willingness to trust every target gave the Raiders an identity they have been missing for years. When a quarterback can throw for over 360 yards in his first start for a new team, it is more than stats. It is a signal. The Raiders finally have a quarterback who can unlock the full playbook and put fear into secondaries. But the Raiders are not built on offense alone. What nobody is talking about is how this team backed up their firepower with grit and discipline. Second-half adjustments on defense flipped the game upside down and showed that this group will not collapse under pressure. This is no longer the same old story of a team that fades late. The Raiders proved they can bend early, then slam the door when it matters, and that brings us to the heart of the story, the offensive identity that made the first punch land so hard. But before we get into that, hit that like and subscribe button for more Raiders and all the NFL content. Can we get 300 likes on this video? The Las Vegas Raiders just unveiled an offense that stretches a field in every direction, and it hits fast. Perimeter speed with Trey Tucker keeps corners on their heels, tight end seams with Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer split safeties, and Jakobi Meyers owns the middle with calm routes that move chains. Space opens in waves, and once a defense widens to handle the outside, the seam turns into a runway. That is the quiet shock of this group. Every snap threatens 3 levels at once. What nobody is talking about is how the design forces defenses to show their hand. Motion pulls coverage, condensed splits, drag help inside, and then the ball flies where leverage is soft. Rookie Dante Thornton Jr. adds a pure vertical lid ripper, which tilts safeties and leaves grass for the tight ends. Rookie Ashton Jeanty gives a downhill answer that keeps linebackers honest, even on light gains, because the threat of a crease is enough to freeze a step. The result is simple to see and hard to stop. A unit that makes smart teams choose which fire to cover. But here is the twist that turns this system from clever to dangerous. The quarterback who reads it all in real time. The next part breaks down Gino Smith, how his eyes set the tempo, how his patience beats pressure, and how trust in every target unlocks the full map. Stay with me, because the exact read that flipped the first strike and the throw that broke the game open both start with the same calm look before the snap. The Las Vegas Raiders put the ball in Gino Smith's hands, and the entire feel of the team changed in one night. This was not a cautious debut. It was a calm takeover in bad weather, with the pocket never feeling too loud for him. Nobody expected the reads to look this sharp this fast, and that is why defenses now have a brand new problem on tape. What nobody is talking about is how he won before the snap. He spotted pressure, set protections, froze safeties with his eyes, then fed every level of the field. The ball found trusted targets in rhythm, and it spread wide, with 8 different receivers getting involved. The shocking part is how often he threw on time into tight space without forcing chaos, which is why a single tipped pick never shook his pace. But here's the twist that turns respect into fear. His best moments came on the hardest downs. He stayed patient, waited for leverage to break, then delivered the kind of throws that tilt a game. Next, we will unlock the first strike that set the tone, the exact read that turned a blitz into points, and why that one call told New England the night would not go their way. The Las Vegas Raiders threw the first punch, and it landed hard. Cold rain, loud crowd, no room for nerves, and still the offense snapped into rhythm that felt fearless. Nobody expected the opening call to challenge pressure that early, yet it did, and the stadium felt the shift before the scoreboard even changed. Here is what turned that moment into a message. Motion tugged eyes, leverage softened inside the red zone, and Gino Smith kept a steady look that told his line exactly where the heat was coming from. One quick drop, one confident release, and Trey Tucker was gone. Clean separation, clean finish, the kind of strike that tells a defense the plan will not be simple tonight. But here is the twist that keeps this from being a neat story. The night did not stay smooth. New England answered with tighter coverage and heavier rush. The weather kept biting, and the game moved into a stretch that tested control and patience. The Las Vegas Raiders walked into a storm inside the game long before the halftime whistle. The crowd grew louder, the rain kept cutting at the ball, and a contested pass popped into trouble. In a blink, the control tilted to New England and a simple drive turned into a grind. Nobody expected the momentum to hinge on one touch that slipped away, yet that is how tight Week 1 can be in a cold road stadium. Pressure rose with every snap. New England tightened press coverage, sent more bodies, and the pocket felt crowded. Still, the clockwork at the end of the half showed calm. Gino guided a crisp 2-minute march to give the team a shot before the break, only for a long kick to fade wide. That miss set a simple piece of math for the sideline to solve. New England held a small lead, and they would touch the ball first after the break, which meant one more empty series could turn a close game into a chase. But here is the twist that saved the night. The answer did not come from forcing a throw or chasing a hero play. It came from what changed in the room at halftime. A different timing on defense, a cleaner plan at the line, a mindset that turned noise into control. The Las Vegas Raiders stepped out of the tunnel and flipped the night in minutes. First snap of the surge, Isaiah Polamau cut under a throw and stole the ball, and the whole energy in Foxborough shifted. What nobody expected was how fast the noise turned quiet once the defense seized control, like a switch that said the second half belongs to the silver and black. Here is how they did it. Patrick Graham mixed pressure without gambling the farm, walked safeties down, squeezed edges, and let the front twist into clean lanes. Tyree Wilson crashed through for a drive stopper, Devin White closed space in the alley, and Max Crosby drew extra attention that freed teammates to finish. On the outside, Q-Blue Kelly kept fighting through the ball and the flags, and New England settled for short gains while the pocket kept shrinking. By the time the clock hit the final minutes, the defense had stacked 4 sacks and 1 interception, and allowed only a late field goal with deep shells on the field. But here is the twist that keeps the story moving forward. A great stand on defense demands a cleaner answer on offense if this team wants to climb. The Las Vegas Raiders learned one hard truth in Foxborough, and it turns this win into a warning for the league. The ground game never found clean air, and a few flags cut rhythm at the worst moments. Ashton Jeanty battled for every inch and still finished at 19 carries for 38 yards, which tells you the lanes were tight and the timing was off. This is not a complaint, it is a signal. If the Raiders clean this one area, the passing attack will feel even bigger next week. The fix starts up front with simple discipline and clear voices. Illegal formation calls hand the defense free yards, so cadence and alignment must be spotless. Inside, JPJ, Jordan Meredith, and Dylan Parham can help each other by locking landmarks and keeping shoulders square so the back sees a true crease. Mix fast downhill calls with motion that moves the support player a step outside, then hit quick play action off the same look to punish linebackers who lean in. Small details, big payoff. Why this matters right now is what comes next. A steadier run threat pulls safeties down and sets up the 2 moments that broke this game open. The early answer against pressure to Trey Tucker, and the late bomb on 3rd and long to Dante Thornton Jr. Add the 4th and short strike to Michael Mayer, and you get the blueprint for a closing kick. Now the spotlight shifts. Brock Bowers' knee scare looks minor, but his health, plus the status of Elandon Roberts, matters heading into a divisional clash with the Chargers. Protecting Gino, improving the run lanes, and keeping that defensive pressure on Justin Herbert will decide if the Raiders can turn one strong message into a bigger statement. So, I want to know, Raider Nation, how do you grade this Week 1 win, and which play was your turning point of the night? Do you trust this team to stack another victory when the Chargers come to town?